Filipino fans have done the unthinkable. They've completely built out the Canadian Open tickets just to watch Alex Eala play. But here's the shocking part. She's achieved something that even Federer, Nadal, and Djokovic couldn't pull off. Fresh off her historic DC Open triumph, the 21-year-old Filipina sensation hasn't even stepped on court in Toronto yet. But the Wednesday night session at Sobeys Stadium is already completely sold out. According to Tennis Canada, about 3,100 tickets were sold for the session after Friday's schedule announcement featuring Eala's opener. Tennis Connected reports that only Serena Williams has managed to sell out an opening Wednesday night in Toronto over the last 20 years. Not the big three, just Serena and now Alex Eala. Is Alex Eala becoming the biggest draw in tennis today? The numbers were so staggering that even the Canadian Open organizers couldn't believe what they were seeing. Wednesday night was completely sold out. And that had only happened once before in the last 20 years. According to Tennis Connected, the Wednesday night session at the National Bank Open in Toronto had only been sold out when Serena Williams played there over the last 2 decades. Not Roger Federer, not Rafael Nadal, not Novak Djokovic, just Serena Williams, and now Alex Eala. Interesting fact. Wednesday night is sold out in Toronto because of Alexandra Eala, Tennis Connected reported. From reliable sources, I can tell you that only Serena has done that in the last 20 years. The significance of that achievement cannot be overstated. With the WTA 1000 events now being played over 12 days under the new format, first-round action is often low-key with a limited audience, especially on weekdays when fans are working. The Sobeys Stadium also lacks a roof, meaning spectators have to contend with the summer heat. For Eala to sell out a weekday crowd during the early stages of the tournament is a testament to her unprecedented popularity. A Tennis Canada spokesperson confirmed the staggering numbers. About 3,100 tickets were sold for the Wednesday night session after the Friday night schedule announcement featuring Eala's opener. The demand was so overwhelming that tickets sold out across all categories within days. The sellout was driven by more than just curiosity. The Greater Toronto Area is home to over 250,000 individuals of Filipino descent, making it the largest Filipino community in Canada. In Ontario alone, the Filipino-Canadian population is estimated at 363,250. They had been waiting for this moment, following Eala's journey from Quezon City to Washington. And when they learned she was coming to Toronto, they answered the call in numbers that stunned even the tournament organizers.
Alexa Eala is indeed so loved by all of us, one Filipino fan wrote on social media. She captured our hearts not just of her tennis, but more so by the way she conducts herself off the court.
She really makes us all proud. As a Filipino, the ticket frenzy wasn't the first time Eala had caused a crowd surge. At the Australian Open earlier this year, huge overcrowding forced organizers to apologize as fans formed massive queues just to watch Eala on outside courts. This time, the Canadian Open organizers had learned from that mistake and still couldn't keep up with demand. The Sobeys Stadium holds 12,500 people, but on Wednesday night, it will feel like a sold-out arena in Manila. Because the Filipino community in Toronto has turned the Canadian Open into a homecoming. The Greater Toronto Area is home to over 250,000 individuals of Filipino descent, making it the largest Filipino community in Canada and representing 62% of the total Filipino-Canadian population across the country. In Ontario alone, the Filipino-Canadian population is estimated at 363,250. And they have been waiting for this moment their entire lives. We've been waiting for someone like her our whole lives, one Toronto-based Filipino fan told local media. She's not just a tennis player. She's our pride. The enthusiasm has been building for weeks. Filipino fans from across Ontario are planning to drive in from as far as 3 to 5 hours away just to watch Eala play. Social media has been buzzing with excitement. The Canadian Open organizers have confirmed that tickets for Eala's night session are completely sold out, a feat that has only been achieved when Serena Williams played in Toronto over the last 20 years. It's so great that one player can really bridge the gap between a sport and a nation that maybe hadn't had that representation before. Coco Gauff had said about Eala earlier in the week. I mean, she's an easy person to be a fan of. The Filipino community has embraced Eala not just as a tennis player, but as a symbol of hope and representation. When Eala won her historic DC Open title, Filipinos across North America celebrated as if they had won it themselves. The victory marked the first time a Filipino player had won a WTA Tour singles title, and now they have a chance to witness history in person. Alex Eala is indeed so loved by all of us, one Filipino fan wrote on social media. She captured our hearts not just of her tennis, but more so by the way she conducts herself off the court. She really makes us all proud. As a Filipino, Eala, for her part, has never forgotten her roots. When asked about the overwhelming support she receives, she doesn't talk about herself. She talks about her people. I think the question should be rephrased as, "What's it like to be Filipino?" she said during the DC Open. She followed it with the 4 words that have become her trademark, "Salamat mga kababayan." Those words have resonated deeply with the Filipino diaspora. For Filipinos in Toronto, Eala represents more than just tennis success. She represents the possibility of achieving greatness against all odds. She represents a nation that has long been overlooked on the global stage. And she represents the power of community. What would you do if an entire community of 250,000 people showed up to support you? For Alex Eala, the answer was simple. She would give them everything she had. Because she knew exactly what it meant to be seen. And on Wednesday night, the Filipino community of Toronto will show the tennis world exactly what it means to be heard. She has done what no one expected. Achieved something that even the 3 greatest players in tennis history couldn't manage. And now the comparisons to Serena Williams are no longer a distant dream. They are a reality. The report from Tennis Connected sent shockwaves through the tennis community. According to reliable sources, the Wednesday night session at the National Bank Open has sold out entirely because of Alex Eala. The outlet added the staggering detail. Interesting fact. Wednesday night is sold out in Toronto because of Alexandra Eala. From reliable sources, I can tell you that only Serena has done that in the last 20 years. The comparison was even more eye-opening. Not even Rafael Nadal, Roger Federer, or Novak Djokovic have sold out an opening Wednesday night. Incredible. The statistic underlines exactly how unique Eala's popularity has become. The sport's biggest names, players with 22, 20, and 24 Grand Slam titles combined, couldn't achieve what a 21-year-old from the Philippines has accomplished before even stepping onto the court in Toronto. The significance of this feat lies in the context of the tournament itself. With the WTA 1000 events now played over 12 days under the new format, first-round action is often low-key with a limited audience, especially on weekdays when fans are working. The Sobeys Stadium also lacks a roof, meaning spectators have to contend with the summer heat, which typically keeps crowds smaller during early sessions. For Eala to sell out a weekday crowd during the early stages of the tournament is a testament to her unprecedented popularity. This is not the first time Eala's presence has caused a stir. At the Australian Open, huge overcrowding forced organizers to apologize as fans formed massive queues to watch Eala on outside courts. Her first-round match was placed on an outside court with limited capacity, and fans were left scrambling for space, with many watching on screens from afar. The organizers admitted they had miscalculated the demand for the Filipina star. Now in Toronto, they appear to have learned from that mistake, only to be overwhelmed by the sheer force of the Eala phenomenon. A Tennis Canada spokesperson confirmed the staggering numbers. About 3,100 tickets were sold for the Wednesday night session after Friday night's schedule announcement, which featured Eala's opener. The sellout crowd will witness Eala's first match as a WTA champion. She arrives in Toronto with a career-high world number 20 ranking and the confidence of a player who has just defeated the world no. 3. The Filipino community in the Greater Toronto Area, over 250,000 strong, has turned out in numbers that have stunned the tennis world, proving that Eala has become the biggest draw in the sport. What would you do if you had achieved something that even the big three couldn't? For Alex Eala, the answer is simple. She would stay humble, stay focused, and step onto the court ready to prove that the comparisons are just the beginning. Bah! She had just completed the most physically and emotionally demanding week of her career. She had survived a 20-hour rain delay. She had conquered 4 top 10 opponents. And now, she had barely 24 hours to recover before stepping onto the court in Toronto. The tennis world is asking, can she keep it going? The National Bank Open is a WTA 1000 event. The highest level of tournament outside the Grand Slams, with 1,000 ranking points on the line for the champion. The tournament has been underway since Sunday, August 2, with the qualifying rounds already in full swing. Eala, seeded no. 25, received a first-round bye and is scheduled to open her campaign against Alycia Parks on Wednesday night, August 5. But the timing could not be more brutal. Her DC Open final against Jessica Pegula was suspended due to rain and rescheduled to Tuesday midnight, August 4, Philippine time. That left the Filipina sensation with barely more than 24 hours between the conclusion of the Washington final and her opening match in Toronto. Little time for recovery. Little time for travel. Little time to process the magnitude of what she had just achieved. I ended the tournament in better shape than I started, Eala had said after her victory. But even she acknowledged the challenge ahead. The quick turnaround from a rain-delayed final to a WTA 1000 event is something few players have ever faced. The path in Toronto won't be easy. Eala is in the lower half of the draw, which features reigning Wimbledon champion and 6th seed Linda Noskova, number 12 Belinda Bencic, number 13 Iva Jovic, and qualifier Sloane Stephens. A potential third-round clash against Noskova looms, a player who has beaten Eala twice this season, including in the Berlin Open semifinals. But Eala has already proven she can conquer the best. In Washington, she defeated 4 top 10 opponents in a single tournament. For now, the focus is on Parks. The American defeated Victoria Miniskasintsev 6-4, 6-4 to set up the round of 64 clash. The matchup is personal, 7 months after Parks handed Eala a painful first-round defeat at the Australian Open. But the Eala who steps onto the court in Toronto is not the same player Parks faced in Melbourne. I ended the tournament in better shape than I started, Eala said. Each match I kept improving and kept learning things about myself. So it definitely gives me a lot of confidence. The Washington hangover is real, but so is the momentum. And with a sellout crowd behind her, Alex Eala is ready to prove that she belongs among the best in the world. She conquered Washington. She climbed to world number 20. But before Alex Eala can dream of a deep run in Toronto, she must face the ghost of Melbourne. And the woman standing across the net is the one who handed her one of the toughest losses of her career, Alycia Parks, the American who walked onto court 6 at Melbourne Park in January and stunned the tennis world. After dropping the first set 6-0, Parks came roaring back to defeat Eala 0-6, 6-3, 6-2. It was a loss that stung, a brutal reminder that even after a dominant opening set, the job was far from finished. But that wasn't 7 months ago. And the Eala who steps onto the court in Toronto is a completely different player. In those 7 months, Eala has transformed herself. She has recorded 7 top 10 wins in 2026 alone, more than most players achieve in a lifetime. She has defeated an Olympic gold medalist, a defending champion, a 4-time Grand Slam winner, and the world number 3. She has climbed from number 49 to a career-high number 20. She has earned over $1 million in prize money and become the first Filipino player to win a WTA Tour singles title. Parks, by contrast, has climbed from number 99 to no. 71, a solid improvement, but nothing compared to Eala's meteoric rise. The gap between them has widened dramatically, and Parks knows it. The rematch is set for Wednesday night, August 5, at the Sobeys Stadium. The Canadian Open organizers scheduled it as the night session's feature match, and the decision was driven by one factor: ticket sales. About 3,100 tickets were sold for the Wednesday night session after Eala's opener was announced. It's the kind of demand that, according to Tennis Connected, has only been seen when Serena Williams played in Toronto over the last 20 years. The contrast between the two players couldn't be starker.
The weather is really nice and I hope you're having a wonderful day. Parks is an athletic American with power and aggression. She once recorded a 129 miles per hour serve, matching Venus Williams' record.
Eala is a left-handed tactician who uses angles, consistency, and court coverage to dismantle opponents. Parks won the first meeting through sheer resilience, outlasting Eala after the Filipina's level dropped in the second and third sets. But Eala's level doesn't drop anymore, not the way it used to. I ended the tournament in better shape than I started, Eala said after her DC Open victory. Each match I kept improving and kept learning things of myself. So it definitely gives me a lot of confidence. The woman who walks onto the court in Toronto is not the same player who lost in Melbourne. She is a champion now. A woman who has proven she can beat the best in the world. A player who has already defeated 5 current or former top 10 players in the last month alone. For Parks, the challenge is simple. Can she summon the same magic that worked in Melbourne? For Eala, the goal is equally clear. Redemption. I don't want them to look at me and say, I want to be the next Alex Eala, Eala has said. I want them to look at me and say, wow, I want to be the first me. I want to make my own path. On Wednesday night, she has a chance to make that path even clearer. A victory over Parks would not only avenge a painful loss, but also set up a potential blockbuster showdown against reigning Wimbledon champion Linda Noskova, a player who has beaten Eala twice this season. A victory over Noskova would send a message to the entire WTA tour that Eala is here to stay. But Eala is not looking past Parks. She knows exactly what the American is capable of. That loss in Melbourne is etched in her memory, a constant reminder that no match is won until the final point is played. It was a very steep hill, Eala said after her DC Open run. Coming into the tournament, I knew that the competition was super strong and my draw was quite tough. Every match was just a different set of obstacles. So I'm really proud. Now she faces a new obstacle, one that has haunted her since January, one that she is determined to overcome. What would you do if the player who broke your heart 7 months ago was standing across the net again? For Alex Eala, the answer is simple. She would fight. She would believe. And she would prove that the girl with ruffled socks and light-up shoes has come too far to let the past define her. Because she knows that the redemption match isn't just about Parks. It's about proving to herself that she's ready for the next level.